Remnant and restored prairie is important to maintaining Minnesota's biological diversity. Prairies provide healthy soil, clean water, and recreation opportunities on a landscape unique in Minnesota. Approximately half of the remaining prairie in Minnesota is privately owned, and private landowners also contribute significantly to prairie restorations. Protection and management of privately owned prairie is critical to prairie conservation in Minnesota, and I'm here to have a conversation with Alex on his restored prairie. Alex, thanks for inviting us to your prairie restoration. Do you mind telling us a little more about it?
The land that we're standing on now was a hay meadow, and we built our home right on this property. I began to wake up to remnant prairies throughout Minnesota and got it in my head that I was going to do a restoration.
Where did your interest in prairies begin?
I took a job as a utility meter reader for Otter Tail Power and began driving around the countryside reading electricity meters. In the process, I started to notice interesting little patches that looked different than other areas of the land, and I discovered remnant prairies. I had no idea stuff like this existed in Minnesota, and so to discover that there were still places here, right where I lived, where that was occurring was a revelation. And so when I find things that I love, I want to surround myself with them, and that began the whole prairie restoration process for me.
Do you mind going more in depth about what those stages look like and why it takes time to start restoring a prairie?
So it's going to look different depending on the site that you are dealing with. The method I used is removal of the vegetation. So I began with mowing it, letting it grow back a thick flush of new growth, spraying it with glyphosate, non-selective, kills off everything. Then we would burn, because the next step is when you throw your seed down, you want to have really good seed to soil contact. But then it takes a long time. These are perennial plants, they're not quick. Most of the weeds that are going to start growing are annuals, so they put a lot of energy into going up right away. So a lot of your thistles and things of that sort. And that's what you're going to see for the first year to 3 to maybe 5, depending on. You're just going to need to trust that your perennials are in there, they're doing their thing, they're putting a lot of their energy down into the root system. They will, in the end, come out on top, but it does take time to get there.
If you could give advice to someone looking to restore a prairie, what would you tell them?
Even if, it's not a really challenging site, seed takes a long time for restorations to start to look like something that people want to look at. It's ugly for a while. There's a lot of thistle seeds, a lot of sweet clover and things like that you're going to have to deal with, and it just takes time for those to get worked out of the system. That's the main thing, is just to have the stomach for it. But what discovering the native prairie aspect has done for me, and realizing that there's something that I can do to participate in it has done, is that it makes me feel connected to where I live in a way that is different than anything I've ever experienced before. There's a sense of being a part of the land, and so that's been a really huge part of this for me.
What are your future goals for this prairie?
Continue to watch it grow, continue to try to do the moves that I can make as a landowner to increase diversity. One of the things I do is I try to find things that don't express well from a seed mix, and I grow those plants myself. The main one for me, kind of what began it all really, has been the pasque flower, because it was early April and I found this beautiful furry purple flower growing in the ground and I had no idea what it was. But then I learned it just doesn't show up in seed mixes. You can have pounds of it and throw it out, and it doesn't work well from a seed mix. So I began trying to figure out how to grow it. And that began a whole process of then growing dozens and dozens of different kinds of species. This year it's been the downy gentian. It's a dry kind of hill species of beautiful blue kind of bell-shaped flowers that shows up in September. I think another thing that I really, really love about not only just this prairie, but the remnants that I've been discovering, is that you can return to these same geographic locations multiple times throughout the course of the day, the week, the month, the year, and you will never cease to discover something new. What else can you engage in that just continues to surprise you like this, with different plants you might discover, an insect you've never seen before, insects and plants behaving or interacting in ways that you just never knew. There's just so much, I guess, just wisdom in the system that we don't see on a day-to-day basis, or just driving by some of these places in our cars. You have to get out, you have to move slow, you have to look close, and in the process, it just keeps giving, and that's a really cool thing.